Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the human response to Trump's trade war in particular, although some of his other policies are feeding into it. There's a noticeable movement towards boycotting American goods and services in both Canada and Europe. Fears of a cycle of stagflation doom, going to be problems for rich and poor alike in America. So will Trump, who has already had to call off some of his more extreme trade war promises, be able to retain the political support to keep flushing the American economy down the toilet, or will he face opposition from even his own inner circle? But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So first of all, a little tangent, because I couldn't not say something about this. It's not big enough to do a whole video on. So I'm going to be discussing, not for the first or last time, the serious damage that Trump is going to cause the world, not just America. The economic vandalism he is engaged in does nobody any real favours. Hitting his own economy just makes his own people poorer, but it also makes it harder for other countries, particularly allied countries in North America and Europe, manage their budgets. This can make it harder to fund the necessary infrastructure, not only for future prosperity, but where climate change action is concerned, literally the future of humanity. And on that point, Graham Hughes, whom of course a lot of you will know, posted up a BBC article in a WhatsApp group today, and I just looked at it and I thought, yeah, is there really any point in worrying about what Trump is doing when humanity itself is on the same intellectual wavelength? The headline: Amazon forest failed to build road for climate summit. Basically over for humanity, isn't it? We should just bow out gracefully, I said, and let the raccoons take over. And before you ask about the badgers, I love badgers, but I'm not convinced they'd make a good dominant species. But I used to watch the raccoons as a kid. They seem nice. I mean, can you imagine the scene? We need to tackle climate change. We need more summits. Keep having summits until we get some decent action points agreed. Great. I know. Let's hold a summit in the rainforest to bring home how important our environment is. The lungs of the earth. Ideal place to hold a climate summit. Oh, hang on. Won't it be difficult to get people to a summit in the arse end of nowhere? Oh, yeah. We're going to need a road. I know. Let's cut down the forest and build a road to the summit. We can't even blame Trump for that one. That's just the human race putting effort into wiping us all out. However, on the off chance that there is still a future for the human race, a faint flickering ember of hope, we'd ideally like to prevent Trump from extinguishing it by pissing all over it. Because the specific way in which Trump is pursuing his trade war is especially damaging. Unjustified tariffs, that is ones where there's no possible political or economic gains to be made, are already going to cause enough suffering. But the way he keeps announcing tariffs, then going back on them, or at least adjusting them randomly a few days later, is creating that most off-putting of environments for investors: uncertainty. We had the same problem in Britain with Brexit, smaller scale, I guess. Businesses cut down on investment plans because they couldn't produce reliable business plans over a span of 5 or 10 years. The rules were changing at such short notice and in unpredictable ways because the priority for the government of the time was getting favourable headlines in the Daily Express. Trump is now inflicting that sense of uncertainty on America, and there are knock-on effects for countries whose trade is strongly tied to the USA, and the inconsistency is baffling. Trump claims that he has his sights on China. That's supposed to be his main target, isn't it, with his economic policies? Yet by evening out the steel and aluminium tariffs across the world, he's actually hurting his allies and helping China. This is because China already had those tariffs. So what Trump has done is evened the playing field in their favour. And then what did I see browsing the news last night? Trump, who campaigned on a platform of attacking low carbon technology. I mean, I thought at the time, what an odd pairing, Musk and Trump, when Trump is attacking one of Musk's businesses effectively. Well, he's suddenly become a Tesla salesman now. In a bit of a hint that, as I suggested a few days ago, that Trump is still strongly backing Musk, he attacked people for boycotting Teslas, saying it was illegal. What? So it's illegal to not buy Teslas now. He argued that Musk was laying it on the line for America, implying that Americans should be more grateful for what he's doing. But it's like, but what is Musk laying on the line exactly? What's he risking? He has no public mandate for his position, not even via congressional approval, and yet has insane levels of executive power to boost his business interests. At least in America. Not gone quite so well overseas, is it? Which brings me to boycotts. So obviously Tesla sales are tanking, especially in Germany. I talked about how sales were down heavily in multiple European markets in January compared to the previous January. Well, February's sales fell even further in Germany compared to the same time the previous year. But there are also wider calls to boycott American goods and services, quite a few people taking part. Now, I'll tell you what I think of that. Obviously, as I always say in these situations, just to be clear, boycotting is a very personal matter for people. I'm just going to discuss my own attitude. And my attitude is I would personally distinguish between goods and services produced by people who support Trump and those who don't. After all, consider the way the EU and Canada have both reacted to Trump's trade war. See, their retaliatory action has been quite surgical. It targets businesses important to influential Republicans. It's not a general penalty imposed on American businesses blindly. In fact, I note there was actually a little bit of a veiled threat to digital services from France if Trump tries to step up his trade war further. That won't be good for his tech bros. And I'd personally do the same. See, my inclination is to avoid giving money to American businesses which happily supported Trump. Because think about the strategy here. First of all, if you try to build a movement which just blindly boycotts everything from the largest economy in the world, you're less likely to succeed. Because the problem with this middle class thinking about political activism is that it forgets that a lot of people can't afford to be too choosy about what they buy. So the wider the range of products you are urging a boycott of, the less chance you've got of getting people involved. Targeted products stand a better chance of building a movement, I think. The second consideration is that it is Putin's foreign policy objective to drive a wedge between allied nations, to make it easier for him to divide and rule. And I think this is where we have a bit of a problem. So in Britain, for example, we have no problem distinguishing between, say, Labour and the Conservatives or left and right or whatever, different political groups. But when we look abroad, we just see the country, and the same happens around the world. But it's not. America's just the same as Britain in that there are people who are supporting Trump, but there are also people who are opposing him. So America is not Trump. America is a mix, right? Like Brexit, for example, if we look at, Putin's foreign policy, Brexit was a Russian policy. Years before we ever heard the word being used, it was being pushed. Right now, Trump is aligned with Russia, which means that Trump's America can no longer be said to be part of the West. Okay. But that's not all of America. And punishing those who don't support Trump, or worse still, punishing those who are actively trying to fight back, doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'm not sure how we're really sticking it to Trump by helping Putin complete his foreign policies. After all, what will Trump care if some Californian company who didn't donate to him suffers loss of business? But he will care if the robber barons supporting him suffer. One of the very few flickers of hope, I said, when Trump came to power, may be that he's surrounded himself with people who will not benefit from the economy crashing. Trump may be an idiot. Trump is absolutely an idiot. But those egging him on aren't, at least not all of them. Yes, you do get some disaster capitalists who can make money out of the destruction of a country. That's not the case for all of his advisors. They have real customers, many of them, and Trump is risking them. Hence the panic in the likes of the Wall Street Journal yesterday. And what happens when ordinary MAGA supporters realise that just like Brexit, voters in Britain, that as bad as things are, there's no such thing as nothing to lose. Because that's what got a lot of people to vote Brexit, just like Trump. They felt that their lives were so bad, couldn't get any worse. Things can always get worse, and they're about to. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.